Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Hey guys, Aharon Horwitz here, co-host of the Inside Auto Podcast. We feature top leaders, entrepreneurs, GMs, authors from all across the auto industry. And listen, our past guests and our clients have included everybody, pro football, basketball, baseball stars that own and operate dealers. We've had entrepreneurs, innovators, vendors, gatekeepers. The whole gamut has been here with us, and we are excited to welcome you. Today is a little unique, what we're going to do here today. I actually have Jeremy Weiss here on the call with us on the podcast. Hey, Jeremy. Jeremy has done tons of interviews, like thousands, literally, no joke, with successful folks from around really all of business and innovation in the world. And we're really excited to have him here today. We're flipping that script. He's actually going to interview me. So Jeremy, welcome.
It's an honor. And, I'm excited to talk about a lot of things, especially with you. Who in business doesn't want more leads, right? And so that's what you guys are the expert at. So I'm really excited to talk about today. We're going to talk about automation and how automation increased leads by 33%. So in any industry, especially in the auto industry, but before we go into it, I just want to mention this episode is brought to you by AutoLeadStar.com. I know the biggest question car dealerships have that you guys get is how do I engage quality customers on the web and how I turn them into car buyers? That's the $10 million question. Well, they created technology that answers this question. The software automates their entire marketing funnel to provide around-the-clock service for dealers. And doing so, they help car dealerships get more qualified traffic and convert them. And I know you've been featured on from my research, over 10 auto publications, including Dealer Magazine, Auto Dealer Today, Car Biz Today, and you work with more than 30 plus OEM brands. So it's a pleasure to be here. Let's jump in to, that's a big statement. Automation increased leads by 33%. And this is with the pandemic crisis. What happened?
Pretty incredible. Look, we are a company that's founded on the premise that marketing in auto is evolving and that it's shifting from a model that was common, outside of auto, 10 years ago to kind of align itself with modern day marketing, which is premised on AI, automation, being able to do some really sophisticated stuff with targeting. And that's what our technology does. And with this dealer that we're about to talk about, specifically in the Walzer Auto Group, we had this really unique opportunity to run almost like a controlled A/B test. We had two dealerships, one of which was going to use our technology, and one of which was not going to use our technology because we weren't eligible for some sort of co-op arrangement. And for us, this was a great opportunity to create a case study. They were basically aligned in all the market metrics. And we were like, what happens when we use automation versus when we don't? And that was the opportunity we had. And the results were fantastic, as you mentioned.
So what were some of the things that you helped that dealership do?
So in the end of the day, the up-funnel marketing for a dealership really rests obviously on all the organic and brand equity that a dealership has built up in its market. But a lot of acquisition in auto is done today through Google and Facebook. They're kind of what we call, the big two. There are other advertising platforms that are interesting, and obviously the lead gen sites, Car Gurus, but Google and Facebook are where a dealer really get to build their own brand and their own acquisition funnel. And what our technology does, among other things, is fully automate that whole process of standing up these Google and Facebook advertising accounts, campaigns, groups, ads, optimizing them automatically over time, and then driving the traffic to the website and converting it at a higher rate. And that's what we did for the dealerships here that we're discussing. We, for one of them, we put them on our automated campaign infrastructure. And for the other one, we did it, meaning they weren't on it. They were using our on-site technology to do higher conversion rates, but they didn't have our automated up-funnel marketing campaign. And that's really where the difference is. So if you think about it, like today, most dealers are either running stuff in-house, they have people pushing buttons in Google Ads and Facebook accounts, or they are working with an agency that may have technology in-house, but it's not as fully automated as I think many people think it is from the outside.
So, how do they find you in the first place?
Oh man, wow. So this is an amazing group. They're like really tech forward and very interesting, led by a guy who's a entrepreneur and innovator in Andrew Walzer, the CEO. And I believe we met them first in NADA back in 2017. Our director of marketing, who's usually my co-host, who couldn't be here today, Ilana Shabtai, she met some folks from the Walzer team in 2017, and then we were introduced through a very friendly introduction through an agency sometime thereafter, and they became one of our earlier customers. And we started off with a kind of very limited framework, and over time we've just grown in our partnership, and they like to do experiments. They're very cutting edge. They like to test things out, so they were very happy for us to do this test here.
Well, it seemed when I was, kind of doing the research, it seemed there was even another layer of piece of interesting facts here is the automation versus no automation. Talk about one of the main competitors was erased in 2020. Like, how did that factor in, and what does that mean?
Well, so it's interesting because in this market, if you just looked at it from the outside, the dealership that was not using our technology had all the advantages going for it. And in the pandemic, you would have actually expected them to outperform. The one that we were on was in an extremely competitive market with some very impressive competition. So in the first dealership, the one without the automation, they had a competitor. That competitor went off the grid about a year ago. So, in some ways it was more of a blue ocean. In our case, it was not at all. It was very aggressive, very challenging. And I think the benefit you get from the type of automation we develop is kind of the reactivity to opportunity. So if you think about like all the trends out there in the world around, flash trading, right? Stock trading through algorithms, they identify an opportunity. It may exist for a short amount of time. The computers are better at identifying it and moving into it versus, say, a person who might be at a coffee break or not paying attention to that data stream, or who might be off, maybe sleeping at night like we like to do as humans. So it's similar here. Our technology in this pandemic was able, across really our whole customer base, to figure out where the opportunity was for high intent buyers, because you had a lot of people who 3 months ago or a month ago looked like buyers that suddenly were not anymore. And it was critical for your technology to be able to adapt to that and adjust so that you could find those buyers despite the difficult and turbulent environment we were in. And that's what really brought that bump of 33% in lead increase. That was an incredible performance in the pandemic. Obviously, a lot of factors go into that, but the dealership at least feels, and the group feels like our automation was a major piece of that.
Aharon, what is, the dealership comes to you originally. What were some of the issues they were having? Why did they want to use AutoLeadStar?
Look, every dealership most dealerships in auto, most of those that want to be future oriented are contending with a changing environment. If you go back in history, right, and you think of kind of the evolution of dealers, right, they went from being very central to a community. I know I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. People went to dealers, their kids went to the same dealers, to then some sort of like disintermediation from the customer as digital emerged, right? So you think about the internet coming out and websites going up, great. I still am able to have my own dealership website, but then suddenly there were these sites that aggregated all the online traffic, and as online and digital became the market, suddenly dealers were no longer connecting with the customer personally. They were actually removed, and web traffic aggregators that would pull in leads, they were sending those leads to the dealers for money. So dealers became just a phone number, a website, a price. And what's happened over the past, I think, 5 years or so, dealers, especially enterprising dealers like over at Walzer, they really want to retake ownership over their own community and their own brand and their own direct-to-consumer channels. They've done a very good job of that at Walzer. But what that means is that instead of working with third parties and with kind of some of the models that used to exist, you really want to build your own technology infrastructure and make your own brand sort of front and center. So that was what they were interested in when we started talking with them. They were thinking about, okay, well, how do we give our customers a more personalized experience on the website? How do we give them a higher conversion rate? How do we innovate our data so that we can use our data in marketing? And that's where AutoLeadStar is very strong. We have a very strong data and technology orientation. We're able to build that into products and productize that for our dealers. And that was what intrigued them about us, I think, in those early days.
So like in up-funnel marketing, when you say that, it's like really personalizing the experience for the customer in more of an automated fashion, so the dealer doesn't have to do as much. Is that instead of being like just a name that people don't have like a personal touch? It feels like a personal touch.
Yeah, like think of it as a marketing agency in a box. You know, you need to account right now for so many variables in the data when you're trying to target buyers on the internet. Right, at any given moment, there could be 90 million people looking to buy a car. In some point in the next, say, 6 months, right? So, or 90 million searches. Let's say it's not 90 million people, right? But it's a heck of a lot of people, say, in the United States, right? Because Americans tend to buy cars quite frequently. So we need to figure out in that gigantic opportunity that's out there, how do you figure out which of those people are most likely to buy soon? What's the message that they need? How do you know where to invest and where not to invest? You could try to do that manually, but a long time ago, outside of auto, people realized that that's got to happen through automation and through, you know, the types of tools that are bucketed under AI. In auto, that's coming in now, and we're really leading the way in that. So it means that the ads are going to be optimized more often on Google Display and search. It means that the Facebook ads and audiences are going to be updated more frequently. And then when they come to the website, our technology is waiting there to greet them with the right message that's going to most speak to them and cause them to convert into a phone call or a web form lead at the highest rate.
Yeah, I mean, what I see it is you're kind of like just the next generation marketing, and it's a mindset. What's pushback that you get, if any, when you're telling this to a dealership who may have thought about like the Cleveland days where I need to go to the dealer and go to the same person? Well, those days maybe don't exist anymore, but what's some of the pushback you get from people when you're explaining this to them?
I believe in those days. I think that most consumers want that experience of one person, you know, one conversation, one guide through this really important and expensive process of an emotionally fraught process of buying a car. So actually, we're very much aligned in letting the dealers do what they do really well, which is the whole experience of giving customers great experience around cars. And man, do they know about cars and how to sell cars. We just focus on the marketing piece where we're able to connect the customers most effectively into that experience. So the pushback we'll get in general is a concern over how much technology we're bringing to the table, meaning when you see how automated it is at first a little bit I don't know, just a little bracing. I mean, you're like, whoa, like, wow, how is it possible that all that can be done well with automation when we're used to working with, 5-person account teams to do that? And it's, when we answer, well, it just can be. That's just where the state of the art is. There's a certain amount of, of distance between the what we're saying and what that person's lived experience is. And bridging that distance takes time and takes a lot of discussions and whatnot. So that's what we work on a lot, is just, helping really expose transparently what we can do, and then offering them just to like test it like we did with Walzer, and then see that 33% increase where the other store is just, not getting it.
So where people used to have maybe a 5-person group doing, yours can basically streamline it. What shocks people most about that piece that you are able to automate or do that? Like, I would think that it would take 2 people to do that.
Wow. The element that's most shocking, it's a very good question. What I would say is this. Wow, there we go. We're blowing up with pings here. Okay.
Everyone's watching right now.
Yeah. What I would say is the element that is most surprising is the cost per lead and the quality of the lead. So you could always say, oh yeah, they get me a good cost per lead because they buy garbage leads. But no, you see that your sales stay steady and then improve, and your cost per lead goes down. So that's that magic sweet spot where you're getting more leads that are quality for less cost. And that's the benefit of the learning that our system's able to do system-wide. So you have a real technological backbone here where we're learning from all across the industry about how to give every individual dealer in their individual market with their individual nuances the best experience that they need.
Aharon, before we wrap up, first of all, thank you. Everyone could check out AutoLeadStar.com. I want to just say, is anything, and maybe you'll say no, Is anything surprising to you about this? Like when I hear, one dealership, the leads increased 33% despite the pandemic and the control didn't. Did anything about this surprise you, or were you like, yeah, that's just what we do?
So actually no, because it's just sort of, when you look at we have the benefit here of seeing the big data picture of our platform, and I see the learning, like we have a metric for learning. We just see our system is continuously learning and improving its metrics. But I will say this, I'm always sort of, as an entrepreneur, looking at our company and saying, I'm so grateful every day that it worked. And that's I think the point here is that we are never complacent with what we have internally. We have that sort of exploring scientific mind. We're always asking, what's the next thing we can do? How do we squeeze a little more out of this? How do we get a little faster, a little more effective? And I think as a dealership, you want that type of attitude now, because you want people to know that you have a little R&D shop that's constantly working for you, trying to push the envelope and make things better all the time.
Yeah. Last question. Who have been other people in the industry that have influenced you in this industry?
Oh my Lord, so many. I don't know. I recently, we just started a book club in our company. We're going to be reading Dale Pollock's books. Dale Pollock is a real thought leader in the industry, and someone who, for me at least, was my major education alongside our dealer partners about the automotive industry. The CEO of Walser Auto, Andrew Walser, was a big influence. We've had some great influences around, some of our investors and advisors. Also, David Kane from Kane Auto. He's taught us a lot. Really, we're going to do a whole episode, Jeremy, about people who've influenced us and me. I think it's a really nice idea because there's just so many. I could just keep going on.
Well, everyone check out AutoLeadStar. I love your tagline, around the clock marketing for dealers. It's I totally appreciate you having me.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.